This is probably exactly what a person should look like with a pocket console that weighs almost half a kilogram. I can say one thing for sure, from the moment I unboxed this console to the moment I ran my first tests, my opinion about it changed dramatically. But did it change for the better or for the worse? I tell you everything right now. This is the Pocket Max, an absolutely new and fairly powerful console from Mangmi, a company that has already built a solid reputation. Not long ago, they broke into the retro handheld market with their mid-budget bestseller, the Air X. I really like that console, and it's easily one of the best options in the under $100 price range. In this video, we'll unbox the Pocket Max, take a look at its design, test a few games, and of course, I'll tell you the full story about all the problems and bugs I ran into while using this console. But before that, let's take a look at the main specs. The Pocket Max is powered by the Snapdragon 865 processor. A few years ago, this was a top-tier flagship smartphone processor. By the way, the Retroid Pocket 5, which I already reviewed on my channel, uses the exact same chip. The console runs Android 13 and comes with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. You can expand storage using a microSD card slot. The display is the main and most distinctive feature of this console. It's a 7-inch AMOLED display with 144Hz refresh rate and 800 nits of brightness. The colors are extremely vibrant and punchy, and the interface animations are very smooth. I also really like that the screen has no bezels. It feels like the display is sitting right on the surface of the console. This is a premium level experience. But since this is an AMOLED display, it doesn't come without PWM flickering. I've said many times before that I'm very sensitive to PWM, and for me this is a critically important factor when it comes to gadgets. When using the Pocket Max, my eyes start getting tired literally after 15 or 20 minutes, which tells me that the PWM level here is very high. Here is an example of the screen flicker compared to an iPhone 17. Honestly, I don't understand this obsession with using OLED and AMOLED display everywhere. I constantly criticize manufacturers for this. Is it really that hard to offer a configurator and give people a choice? I would happily order this console with an IPS display, like the Switch 2 or the ROG Ally, and if it meant waiting longer for assembly, I'd be totally fine with that. Between an AMOLED screen and my health without headaches, I choose my health. And I know for a fact that there are enough people who are sensitive to PWM for manufacturers to finally pay attention to us and meet us halfway when it comes to display choices. This is extremely critical for me, which is why I keep talking about it in my videos. And if you're sensitive to PWM flicker, I can say right away, this console is absolutely not for you. The second standout feature of this console is the battery. It has an 8000 mAh battery with fast charging, which is significantly more than some competitors. That's exactly why the console weighs almost 450 grams, which makes it anything but pocketable. And this leads me to another question: why is this console called Pocket? With this weight, it's very hard to call it pocket-sized or truly portable. I'm genuinely annoyed by this kind of marketing, where inappropriate words are used just to smooth things over and make it sound like the console is not actually that big or that heavy. But no, this is a big, heavy device that you have to carry in a bag or a backpack. It has absolutely nothing to do with the word pocket, even with the Max in the name. And before we continue, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. It's super important for promoting both the video and the channel. The more likes, views and subscribers we get, the more videos I'll be able to make and share with you, and the more fun and interesting the content will become. Also, don't forget to click the bell icon so you won't miss any new videos. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can hit the hype button. It helps push the video to new audiences and brings even more people into our community. Thanks a ton for your support. Let's continue. The device also comes with Bluetooth 5.1 and Wi-Fi 6. On the bottom, in addition to the microSD card slot, there is a headphone jack and a USB Type-C port that can output video to a monitor or a TV. On the back and on the top, the console has ventilation openings for active cooling. You can control the fan behavior in the settings. In maximum performance mode, the fan gets fairly loud, pretty much like on all similar consoles. By the way, thanks to Mangmi team to providing this console for testing and review. You can buy the Pocket Max on the official website. You'll find the link to the console and additional info in the description box. Now let's move on to the unboxing and take a look at what's included, because the package here is actually quite impressive. The Mangmi Pocket Max arrived in this box. It's shrink-wrapped, which I really like. By the way, the console is available in 3 colors: black, white and retro. I have the black version. When you open the box, you see an insert protecting the screen. The console has a fully glass, glossy front, which makes it look very premium and somewhat similar to the Retroid Pocket 5. Let's put it aside for now. If you lift the soft insert, underneath you'll find a compartment with the charging cable and the manual. I really like how everything is packed into separate little boxes. This is a USB Type-C charging cable, but why is it white if the console itself is black? The manual is also packed in a separate envelope. Everything is packaged very neatly and aesthetically. I like that. But that's not all. They also sent me a carrying case for the console. It's the same quality as the AirX case, just larger. It's an excellent case, even though it adds extra weight and takes up more space in a backpack. Still, the quality is great and the material feels very nice to the touch. Another important item is the screen protector. Inside you'll find everything you need to apply it neatly if you're worried about the screen. The protector covers the entire front of the console. And the last item is a box with interchangeable modules. Here we see magnetic button and D-pad modules. They have a very pleasant sound. Just listen how the standard modules sound compared to the ones from this additional set. The way these modules are swapped deserves special attention. You basically need superhuman strength and rock-solid fingernails to pull out and replace the magnetic modules. I can confidently say this is bad design. To remove the modules, I usually use a wooden toothpick. I think Mangmi should have included some kind of plastic tool to make removing the magnetic modules easier. And this is where the main adventure with this console begins. Right after the initial setup, I decided to test a few games and noticed that my D-pad wasn't responding at all. After digging a bit into the module and console design, I realized that the D-pad contacts are slightly recessed into the housing, literally by less than a millimeter compared to the face button contacts. Because of that, the D-pad module simply doesn't make contact with the console. Of course, I reported this issue to the Mangmi team. In the meantime, I decided to try fixing it myself. I grabbed a small screwdriver and a piece of sandpaper. I disassembled the D-pad module and decided to sand down the inner side of the magnetic module cover slightly, so that the contact board inside the module would sit about 1 mm lower. This didn't take much time. The plastic sands down pretty quickly. After that, I carefully cleaned everything with alcohol to remove dust and grease, and then reassembled the module. It was time to test the module setup. As you can see, now the module contacts actually touch the console and the D-pad responds to presses. I don't know how widespread this issue is, or whether other buyers will run into the same problem, but I had to tell you about my bad experience with this console and with these magnetic modules. By the way, the next day the Mangmi team told me that their technical department had found a different solution of this issue, and that's good news. Now I really hope that quality control for the consoles meant for sale will be much stricter than for the units that were sent out to bloggers for testing and reviews. Still, this whole situation left a bad taste for me, even though I did not pay for the console. Now I honestly don't even know how to recommend it after an incident like this. Now let's take a closer look at the console itself. The plastic on the back has a matte texture and the console feels pretty nice in the hands. On top of that, the shape is ergonomic and it sits comfortably in my grip. But as always, I feel like the grip area could use a rougher texture. There are also additional rear buttons on the back, which you can customize in the system interface. The analog sticks are rubberized and have a very good range of motion. In the settings, you can adjust the RGB lighting around the sticks or turn it off completely if you want. The shoulder buttons here are quite large and comfortable. They press softly and feel good, and the triggers are significantly larger and more comfortable than on the Air X. On the top edge you'll find the volume buttons and the power button. Personally, I wish they were spaced a bit farther apart. It's very easy to confuse volume and power by touch alone. Visually, I really like this console. It has a great ergonomic shape and a solid design, but the whole magnetic module adventure seriously ruined my first impression. I believe quality control is a critical stage in manufacturing, and it's not something you should ever try to save money on. Maybe it would have been better to completely abandon this modular design, lower the final price, and make the console more budget-friendly. To me, this feels more like a marketing feature than a truly necessary function that people actually buy this console for, and the AMOLED screen alone makes this console basically unusable for me when it comes to gaming. Still, for your sake, I'll sacrifice myself a little and test a few games just to show you the performance of this console. And by the way, I had to lower the refresh rate to 60 Hz because the console's display shows very strong PWM flickering on the camera, and with that my eyes get tired much faster. Let's start right away with PSP games. At maximum graphics settings and with 4 times rendering resolution enabled, the games run very well and smoothly. Playing PSP titles on this console is way more enjoyable than on the original PSP. Throughout my testing, I never once felt any stuttering or slowdowns. This console handles absolutely any PSP game with ease and can confidently be used as a modern alternative to the original PSP. Next up, let's test GameCube games. This console handles the load beautifully, delivering smooth and enjoyable gameplay. During my testing, I did not notice any FPS drops. If you're a fan of GameCube games, this console will handle them perfectly. When testing PlayStation 2 games, I set the rendering resolution to 2x. As you can see, even in God of War there are no FPS drops. The performance remains at an excellent level. I think that in less demanding games, you can even increase the rendering resolution for an even more comfortable experience. I tested several of my favorite games, including titles from the Need for Speed series, and the console handled them very well. For PlayStation 2 games, this console is basically a perfect fit. Next on the list are Android games. Half-Life 2, GTA San Andreas, and many other controller-supported games are available to play. You can install games directly from Google Play and test their performance yourself. I checked several games, and most of them run fairly smoothly without FPS drops. However, Red Dead Redemption launches with noticeable visual artifacts on the screen, which is disappointing and prevents you from fully enjoying the game. On the other hand, games like Planet of Lana run beautifully, and I highly recommend playing it if you haven't already. As for Nintendo Switch games, unfortunately, I can say that this console is not a Switch killer and not a real competitor to the Switch. Yes, I managed to run The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 30 FPS, but unfortunately, like on the Retroid Pocket 5, that frame rate is not stable here and something drops to around 24 FPS. It's playable, but not very comfortable. The key here is choosing the right graphics driver. I believe Switch games on this console are a nice bonus, but definitely not its main purpose, and unfortunately only a small portion of games will be playable comfortably. The same applies to GameHub, only simply indie games are available, and even then, not all of them. Some games launched with catastrophically low FPS, making them completely unplayable, so treat your Steam library here as a bonus to your retro game collection. If a game launches and you're able to play it, that's basically a miracle. For more consistent and confident gaming, you'll need a different, more powerful console. In the end, I can say that the overall performance of this console is very good. It's an excellent choice for GameCube and PlayStation 2 games, as well as for some Android games with controller support. However, you should not expect it to fully cover the Nintendo Switch or GameHub libraries. Think of those as a nice extra or a bonus. The fact that some Switch or Steam games are available at all. Overall, the performance here is exactly the same as on the Retroid Pocket 5, and nothing more. On the plus side, I can point out the premium-looking design, excellent material quality, the ability to customize the controls, and a large, bright display. The console also delivers strong performance. But at the same time, these advantages come with several downsides that seriously hurt my overall impression. PWM flickering from the display, inconvenient magnetic module replacement, heavy weight, and questionable quality control prevent me from fully recommending this console right now. And now the cherry on top, the price. The console cost $200 to $220 during early orders. In my opinion, that's too expensive. Yes, considering the current chip shortage crisis, the price might be justified. But unfortunately, the Pocket Max does not fit into the mid-range segment, where N-burning consoles dominate at $150 to $170 and serve as a baseline for PlayStation 2 gaming. At the same time, it doesn't quite reach the level of high-performance consoles like the Odin 2 Portal or Pro with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processors, which cost just a little more. On top of that, the Pocket Max directly competes with the Retroid Pocket 5, Flip 2 and G2. I think that if you're already ready to spend $200 on the console, you're probably able to add another $50 and get something more powerful. That's why I'm unhappy with the price of the Pocket Max. In my opinion, Mangmi should have made this a more budget-friendly console to directly compete with N-burning and Retroid Pocket devices using the same processor, but at around $150. In that case, the Pocket Max could have easily become another bestseller. But that's just my personal opinion, and I could be wrong, so let me know in the comments what you think. And if the specs and the price worked for you, then I'd recommend waiting a bit and buying a unit from the second batch. That way you'll most likely avoid the main issues of the first revision. As for me, I'll be closely following updates of this console on Reddit and Discord and keeping an eye on how it evolves within the community. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I wish you pleasant nostalgia and successful completion of your favorite games.